It's been 8 years and some change since Marvel Studios released Guardians of the Galaxy, a team of relatively unknown characters, obscure even among comic book fans. But their lack of popularity turned out to be nothing but a minor hurdle, as the Guardians quickly rocketed themselves to the top of the box office and a place in our hearts. So when a third film was released, flocking to see it simply came as second nature. Strap in as we fire up the engines and see if this franchise can pull off a rare hat trick. The good. Thematically, Guardians 3 is the MCU's epitome of cohesion. Volume 1 was a super fun romp. The first time I saw Volume 2, I felt the soundtrack made the film feel more tame than its predecessor. But that was the point. The entire series is about growing up. The first film is like being a teenager, getting into impulsive scraps, being a tad more reckless than you need to be. The second one is about late adolescence. Being a teenager was fun, but it's time to get a bit more serious. The third one is graduating college. We've had good times, but it's time to see what else life has to offer. That doesn't mean we've stopped caring for those who were with us along the way. It means we realize how to cherish all those experiences and still make it a priority to find ourselves. It also strikes on the age-old adage, you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you come from. That's especially true when it comes to the star of the film, Rocket. It's touching how the film both makes us realize that he's always been the perfect candidate for putting the spotlight on, and at the same time, making it clear it was setting this up all along. Rocket's history is revealed through a series of flashbacks. Seeing the horrific events he went through hits harder than any exposition he could have given on the matter. Reflecting on this past, what he's lost, what he's gained, makes Rocket ready for what he's always wanted to be, but was too stubborn to admit: a leader. The emotional growth doesn't end with our famous Procyon loader. There's enough growth to go around for almost everyone. Star-Lord is still pining over Gamora, a grieving process made almost impossible to complete, with a variant of hers running around alive and kicking. Can you imagine having to let go of the person you love, but she's standing right in front of you? But your brain knows that she's not she. Meanwhile, your heart is like, there she is, you big dope. She can love you too. We've seen him demeaned by everyone from Korra to members of his own team, which usually resulted in mild irritation. But when not Gamora pushes him around, this one really seems to strike a nerve, to the point that he seeks to drown out all his sorrows. But he proves time and time again that while he has weaknesses, he's far from an idiot. Let's not forget that in Volume 1, he managed to incapacitate Gamora, the fiercest woman in the galaxy. In Infinity War, he and his team fought a group of Avengers to a stalemate, and despite botching the plan to remove the gauntlet, he was the mastermind behind it. In this film, he proves his capability again when he tricks an Orgo Corp employee into providing him with the means to take down the security forces. Do not underestimate Star-Lord. At the end of the film, he also has gotten to a point where he hasn't really gotten over Gamora, but now he's at least ready to. Anyone who's ever gone through a reluctant breakup can relate. In that sense, he truly is the legendary Star-Lord. Staying in the Ego Offspring family, Mantis shines brilliantly in this film. She was pushed around a lot by the others for being a softie, but she's the one saying what needs to be said. Now remember, they're saying it like it is, and they're saying what needs to be said. The difference is a contribution to the betterment of all involved, and this is the perfect time for her to go out on her own. She doesn't take any crap, and she stands up for the ones she loves. That includes Drax the Destroyer. The man is putting on some serious dad vibes this time around, and it fits him like a glove. It's easy to forget he's not just some big dumb stabby guy, but a man who has lost his family, including 2 daughters. He brings a charm that was alluded to in the second volume, once again hitting home the fact that this movie takes you where the franchise was going all along. Dave Bautista has stated that this is his last outing as Drax, but I would like to see him again, because I'm curious how he'll react if he ever finds out Mantis wiped his memory. Nebula rises to the occasion and takes over the reins of the entire Nowhere colony, proving that she could have been a capable asset to Thanos had he built on her strengths rather than constantly comparing her to his favorite daughter. We don't see much of her, but what we do get is pure substance. She never feels like a background character when she speaks. Groot is a big deal. Literally. Not only does he keep getting bigger and bigger, he's learned a few cool new tricks. He's reached that Goldilocks zone of being young enough to still party, but old enough to not goof around too much. I can't imagine the team without him. Groot has managed to firmly plant himself in the hearts of audiences all across the world to the point that, truly, we are Groot. Zoe Saldana gets a chance to play a more jaded Gamora this time around, one who never got to be influenced by her time with the rest of the Guardians, because she never had that time. It's easy for Peter to think that if he simply repeats the experiences of his Gamora, this one will eventually become her. But in her own harsh way, she makes it clear to him and the audience that she's more than just a replacement. Let's not forget that she's from another universe, one she can't return to, and is now stranded in a place she can't call home, with versions of people she doesn't know. I was honestly expecting them to end up together, but the reality of it is, that wouldn't be fair to either version of Gamora. As I've stated before, the film is very cohesive and builds upon what was already established in the franchise. In the trailers, we see Adam Warlock attacking the team, but we also know that the High Evolutionary would appear as a villain. Rather than falling into the trap of sequel equals more villains who end up in some weird team up to take out the good guys, the film establishes the Sovereign as creations and the subordinates of the High Evolutionary. This not only connects the two in a clever way, it's also an immediate testament to the Evolutionary's prowess as a genetic engineer. Adam's initial attack on the team also clarifies a lot in little time. He's durable enough to take powerful blasts, strong enough to stress Drax's durability, and the fact that he immediately injures Mantis makes it clear he's not going to toy with anyone. One of the themes in the film is that it's poor taste to judge someone quickly, especially based on their appearance. This alludes to the concept of physiognomy, the practice of judging someone or something's character based on their appearance. The scruffy-looking Guardians of the Galaxy are often assumed to be either criminals or idiots, when in fact, they have the hearts of true heroes. But where the movie really shines in this theme is with the appearance of the Abelisks trio. They look like the kind of dangerous monster you have to kill with extreme prejudice, but that's highly prejudiced. They don't even eat people, they eat batteries. When Mantis stands down and proves to them she's not a threat, they stand down. A reminder once again that we shouldn't judge a book by its cover. One last thing I absolutely loved about the film is how the trailer content was chosen. There are scenes in the trailers that look like they're super important, quite possibly even spoilers, but then the movie tackles those scenes right at the start, so you thought you knew what was coming, but you'd be wrong. Speaking of which, you ever hear a cool song in a trailer and wish they'd feature in the actual film? Volume 3 does just that, but both songs from the two trailers. Hearing Space Hogs in the meantime on full blast in the theater was amazing. I wouldn't have minded the altered version they used in the trailer though. On that note, whoever keeps coming up with these edited versions of songs for the trailers, you're doing God's work. As I stated in my review of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, it can't be easy to keep developing new unique locations in the franchise. We've seen space in the MCU before, but the designs in this film are a reminder that the universe is vast and full of variety. Instead of giving us much of what we've already seen, Guardians Volume 3 gives us a look at more of the unknown. OrgoCorp's headquarters may not always seem practical, but it is unique. The design of both its employees and the suits they wear is another win for creative design, and will ensure that you won't mistake this space adventure for another. But there's also nothing wrong with standardization. It makes sense that if something works perfectly, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. The High Evolutionary ship is enormous, but the cockpit and controls seem to adhere to the same principles we've seen in the franchise. But there's much more to the visuals than how things look. The way things move is spectacular. Say what you want about the Snyderverse, but the aerial fight scenes from Man of Steel and Shazam were creatively put together with the camera consistently focused on characters, rather than just seeing them whisk by. Guardians Volume 3 takes a page out of this book and points to the flyers, particularly the powerhouse Adam Warlock, from a unique angle that really gives you a sense of self-propelled flight. The MCU is not without its criticisms. A recurring complaint is that the fight scenes are cut to pieces, sometimes making it difficult to realize what's going on. In Guardians Volume 3, there's an extended corridor fight scene that shows the makers are trying to rid themselves of this trope. There are some shots where it's obvious that the whole thing wasn't shot in one take, but only edited to look that way. But it works. We know who's standing where in relation to everyone else. When a shot is fired, it doesn't come out of nowhere, and it really shows the skill the team possesses and why they're a serious threat. In terms of choreography, it's probably the best fight scene in the MCU thus far. The villain. It's been said that a story is only as good as its villains. In the MCU, we've seen antagonists we can sympathize with or even find ourselves agreeing with under different circumstances. Characters whose cause is a noble one at its core, a cause that would benefit from a bit of compromise, or is simply so objective that the universe wasn't ready for it. This is absolutely not the case with the High Evolutionary. This guy has not a single redeeming quality to him. And you know what? That's great. We don't always need a morally ambiguous villain. Sometimes we just need to get back to basics with someone cast in the classic villain mold, a bad guy who's simply a bad guy. And man, is he bad. From the utter disregard for other sentient life, to gaslighting Rocket into thinking he's worthless. I know some comic book fans won't like this portrayal, since the character continues to play a major role in the comics and the lives of many prominent characters, but this rendition works well within the confines of this story. The bad. This is without a doubt Rocket's story, but he's knocked out for most of the film. It makes the pace feel a bit sluggish sometimes, like the movie's just filling time to get to the next important chapter of Rocket's story. This includes Kraglin's arc, which was so predictable it didn't really make an impact. The setup to save his life was clever, but I wouldn't have minded seeing more of present Rocket. While there is a connection to the main villains of the film, Adam Warlock still ends up feeling redundant. He's introduced quite hastily and isn't given much to do other than give the Guardians more trouble to handle. This could be used to emphasize he's still a child at heart who was rushed into action, but it would be nice to know more about him. The MCU has made famous the concept of post-credit scenes, and Volume 3 follows suit. However, more often than not, the second post-credit scene all the way at the end isn't worth the wait. We've been conditioned to remain seated till the last credits have rolled, so these post-credit scenes need to be much more rewarding. Verdict. I'm going to award Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 3.5 out of 5 lightning bolts. There's a setup for some interesting new players. Filler! So the future still has much in store for the Guardians of the Galaxy. But it's still difficult saying goodbye to the team we've grown to love. And again, that's all part of growing up. Sometimes, life takes you in a different path and a new story, but take solace in the fact that the friends you've made along the way are having great new stories of their own, even if they are without you. Maybe we'll see you around, even if it isn't as much as we used to. But we're okay, and we'll always have Nowhere. I'd like to thank James Gunn, all the actors, and everyone else involved for giving it their all every time around to hit that high note and sharing with us this beautiful franchise that we've absolutely fallen in love with. May your journeys take you to where the lands are green and skies are blue. All in all, we're just like you, and we love the all of you.